I became fancy theater by the internet historian.
By NordVPN.
And a ditto to my video. Feel free to react to these videos.
Tisk, tisk, tisk. Look at you. Uncultured.
And when you tell me I'm so very cultured. I'm the most culturist of cultured.
Unsophisticated. Middle class.
I mean, at least he knows his audience. Yes, I am poor. I don't even think I'm middle class. I am like lower middle class poor. Like, I don't have fancy sweaters like that. That's too much wealth for me. Look at their fancy sweaters.
No, don't speak. You'll just make me row up. I'd say cover up with this dinner jacket, but I'm afraid that you'd get your head stuck in the sleeve and asphyxiate. Listen, lowball. Don't you want to be refined?
I don't know if I want to be refined.
Don't you want to be fancy? Like moi?
Ooh.
That's French. I don't expect you to know what it means. But I have some good news.
Oh?
Before this financial year ends, I have decided to make a charitable deduction.
Oh.
It's you, champ.
I'm the charity. I'm a charity. It's the Poor Camellia Fund.
For you see,
We can have premarital sex.
this virus. I have made several videos, though, which will show you how to bluff your way to the inner circles. Undetected. Yes. By the time the elites find out,
Neon Genesis Evangelion is psychological and intense.
it will
Evangelion.
be too late. I get you in, you eat all the hors d'oeuvres,
Oh.
and we get out.
Yeah, in and out, quick in and out.
That's the plan. And let's begin your instruction with theater. The YouTube premium of upper society. And the first section?
There's not a friends tax. There's a Ligma back tax. There's a Twitch tax. There's a get Cammy to Twitch partner tax. There's a we gotta support Camellia because she's cute and adorable tax.
Symphony. The first period of performance. That's called Baroque. From 1600 to 1750. This featured Bach and Vivaldi. Now, there was
Vivaldi.
also a guy named Giuseppe Tartini, and he was the best one of them all, because one evening he had
Oh.
a dream where
A
the
dream.
devil
I had a dream.
showed up and presented
That is one ugly devil.
him with a deal. The devil would become his teacher and impart on him everything he knew about music. Yes, once Tartini had learnt everything he
That devil is very creepy. He has no chin. That is a chinless devil.
could, he handed over his violin and asked the devil to play. The devil played.
How great was the astonishment on hearing a sonnet so wonderful, so beautiful, played with such great art and intelligence as I have never even conceived in my boldest flights of fantasy. I felt enraptured, transported, enchanted. My breath failed me. Giuseppe Tartini.
The greatest musical piece that Tartini had ever heard. Tartini woke up with a gasp, and he
Le Gosp.
tried to recreate what he had heard in the dream. And what he wrote down was his most famous piece, the best thing he had ever written.
I've never listened to classical Tartini. I've only ever listened to Bach and Beethoven.
And he said, "This is shite compared to the original. This
Oh, and Mozart.
is nothing better than a tribute." And that's where you get the Tenacious D song from.
Wait, what? Although they claim it's based on The Devils Went Down to Georgia, which is a more modernized take on the same story. Tenacious D was such a weird movie, but I loved it.
He named this piece The Devil's Trill, and he claimed that the difference between his version and the version in the dream was so great that he would have smashed his violin and quit music forever had he not needed it for his job. Classical, 1750 to 1830. Mozart and Beethoven show up like da-da-da-da. Now, Beethoven was famously known for going deaf. Once that happened, everyone told him that he should just quit music forever. But he just wouldn't hear it. Anyway, there's so much I could say about these two. Romantic era. Now that's when everybody started kissing, and it's my favorite. Great piece. Mwah. Oh, you played wonderfully too. Mwah. We also enjoyed listening. Mwah. Mwah, 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 mwah. All you need to know about this one is Chopin and Berlioz.
I know Chopin, I don't know Berlioz.
Berlioz, however, was not getting any kisses. He was related.
Berlioz got no maidens.
Painfully single, living alone in Paris, the city of love. So here's how it started. He's there and he's in his early 20s, and he is looking
He looks so old for his early 20s.
for a new GF. So one day he attends a Shakespearean play, and on stage he spots an actress, and he immediately falls in love with her.
She's so beautiful, Harriet.
He wrote her many notes confessing his love,
Oh my god, he was a stalker.
but her DMs went unreplied. So he began writing a symphony about her. How can she ignore this? And also around this time he started smoking a lot of opium, but
People in the olden days are just so drugged up.
don't worry about that. Anyway, so he wrote this piece just for her. However, his DMs still went unreplied. For several months he started to get quite disheartened.
Remember, he did this all in his like early 20s, right? So he was just like a baby.
Until he saw another girl. So he immediately fell in love with her instead, and he said,
Oh my god. He's just like jumping whenever pretty lady like gazes upon. It's just like, oh my god, I don't care about Harry anymore. You are beautiful.
I'm going to change that symphony I wrote, so now it's about this other lady, and not about that ugly one that I didn't like anyway. This time, happily, she reciprocated, and they fell in love and were set to marry.
Aww.
Suddenly, what the fuck?
Oh?
Phones haven't been invented yet. Yes, hello, I'm busy. Oh, Rome? To study?
Oh?
Absolutely. I'll catch the first flight out. So Berlioz went
He was invited to study at the Villa Medici for 2 years.
to Rome to study music. However, while he was away, he got some news.
Berlioz. I have to tell you something.
Camille! What is it, babe?
Sacre bleu. Some other, more handsome musician swooped in and married his girl while he was in Rome, and they ran away together. Berlioz was furious, and he set
Well, to be honest, he did leave her to go study. Like, come on, dude.
his mind to solving the problem. I know what I'm going to do.
Write a very successful music piece that only becomes famous after you die?
I'm gonna murder her and her lover
Whoa, dramatic much?
and her mom. And then I'm gonna do a self-murder.
Oh no. Why?
All right, so this gets pretty elaborate.
Not a joke, it really is his plan. As described in his memoirs, he would affectionately name his former mother-in-law to be as the hippopotamus. He despised her, especially because he believed she had set up the whole Mary will away plan, motivated to prevent Camille from marrying Berlioz because he was poor. Dun 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 dun.
His idea is to dress up as a housemaid. He has bought both poison and 2 guns. Now he is going to sneak into the house of his ex-fiancée, and there
He looks great. Like, he looks fantastic.
she and her mother will be sipping tea, which he has already poisoned. Then he will pull off the clothing and reveal himself, Blam, blam, sad overture. So, he heads back home to Paris to do it.
What a plan! What a plan!
But while on his travels there, takes quite a while, he has to change carriages. And when he does that, he leaves the guns in one of the little cubbies.
What a pathetic thing!
So he's lost all his weapons. What is he going to do now? Well, his next leg on the stop is Genoa, and he
Literally, he had one job.
decides, you know what? Let's just skip the murder and go straight to the finale.
Oh.
So he stops off in the port city of Genoa, and he's there at the side of the Mediterranean. He pauses for a moment, then he throws himself in. Now, some people see this whole thing happen, and they think he's had an accident, so they run in to try to save him. They pull him to the shore. He lived. So he has now reached his lowest point. He dejectedly continues home. He gets back to Paris, and he wallows around, feeling pretty sorry for himself.
Aww. We do not condemn murder. We do not condemn murder.
He decides, you know what? I may as well do what I do best in times of trouble.
And write music.
Smoke a lot of opium. And while I do that, I shall write a symphony. Although I ain't gonna name it after that hoe who stole my heart. And so he went back to work. But here's the thing. It was the greatest piece he had ever written. And it premiered
It was called the Symphonie Fantastique. It is the piece currently playing. Oh.
to a huge crowd. And you know what? It was a smash hit. #1 on iTunes.
Ah.
But then, and here's a bloody plot twist. Remember the first girl?
Yes.
Well, she attended that concert, and she realized that Berlioz
She was also getting older and her career was circulating the drain. Yeah. You're like, now I can settle down.
was a genius. And then she wrote a letter to your boy saying how good your bloody symphony was, and sorry about not replying, I just put my phone down and got super busy or whatever. By the way, I love you.
Reciprocal! Reciprocal!
And so Berlioz goes, well, I love you too. And a year later, they were married. It's a beautiful
So dramatic back then,
moral of the story. See, fellas, don't jump in the Mediterranean. Anyway, a few years later, they got divorced. Because weirdly, he cheated on his wife with the housemaid.
That plot twist!
Not that one, a different one. But then he married that housemaid. Hooray. But then when he died later on, for some reason, he gets buried with both of them.
Oh! That's weird. Harriet Smithson's et Marie. Oh my god, it's hilarious.
Strange. But moving on to the Impressionist musicians. Now that's Claude
Debussy?
What now? Claude what? You know what? You'd better go to ad time. Alright guys, welcome back to the Nord Stream.
Oh my god, Nord Stream. Ugh.
Today we're playing Assassin's Creed 3. Chat, come on, chat. Hey, everyone's spamming
Nord is love, Nord is life. Can we get a bunch of spams of something stupid, but not Nord?
Nord in the chat. Whoa, a new follower, hey.
Oh my god, VPN lover is following. Wow, I love this. This is hilarious.
Welcome to the Dream Team Sub Cream. Thank you so much for great to see. Oh, unfollowed. Sorry guys, the cleaners are here. Sorry, just ignore the mess. I haven't cleaned up these bottles yet.
Oh my god, it's asthma cold.
No, it's just tea. It's just tea. I stream for 10 hours a day, and it's like the algorithm is against me or something. How come everyone
Oh my god. Oh my god. This is too legit. This is too legit. Oh no.
is watching Asmon's stream, and I'm not getting any new followers? I'm playing the games. What more do you want me to do?
Everybody who streams and doesn't instantly get successful.
Just a quick word from the sponsor. NordVPN is the VPN that you can trust. So go to nordvpn.com/internethistorian for a huge deal on a 2-year plan plus 4 bonus months for free, plus a 30-day money-back guarantee. My God. Today we are going to be watching the new Snow White movie. I love the intro. Oh, I love seeing that Disney logo. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Guys, I'm just...
Wait, this video's pretty old. Why is there a new Snow White movie? Why does this feel too legit?
Gonna get up and get some food. I'll be back. I'll be back in a minute.
We'll let you know we have reviewed your safety reports and determined the violation as a result of forces taken. Thank you for your report. You do help to a safer place.
Camellia is widely considered an ode to chaos and destruction. So you would love it, since it suits your energies.
What the f***? Who reported my stream? Hello, my Nordlings. Welcome back to the stream. Can we get...
Nordman, what is your take on Spider-Man? Is Nordman technically a VTuber? Haha, Twitch chat. But what was the shop called when Chuck? Story mode is like the new Nord.
Get some hands in the chat, guys.
Jed shoots Alex in chapter 4. Go to the shop. Want anything? Nord much? My parents fight a lot. 40 names was a bad idea. Just play the game. Long ass. Oh no, this is too accurate. There's always that one person complaining about the ads. There's always that one person being like, get to the game, bitch. We don't want to hear you yap. And then the one person trauma dumping.
No, not like that.
Oh no.
Mods. Welcome back to the ASMR stream.
The ASMR stream. We got NordVPN ASMR.
For NordVPN, today I'm going to be drinking a can of Coke while I say the word Nord.
Nord.
Nord. Hey, thank you for the tier 3 sub. With NordVPN, I can be outside my house, Jack's Film's house, Samito's house, Ordinary Things' house. Just like that. Welcome back to the hot tub stream.
Hot tub stream.
What do you guys mean? How many hot dogs can I put in my mouth? Why? I'll just...
Nord N is in chat. What's the deal with this time? Give me the promo code. I'll buy Nord now. 95% CTR. They should bring hot tub streams back. Check the date on the upload. Already on a reaction channel.
Oh my god. $5,000 donation. Thank you.
Oh my god, VPeen just gifted 5,000. That's crazy balls.
Thank you so much. You guys are such good friends. Streaming's not for me. I'd rather go to nordvpn.com/internethistorian to get a huge deal on a 2-year plan, plus 4 months for free. Ad over.
That was the most unhinged ad I have ever seen.
Watching Netflix, are you?
Maybe.
All tucked in with a 3-hour essay on Good Game Good, and here's why.
Fallout
Maybe.
New Vegas is actually the only based Bethesda game.
Turn that on. I've got something for you much less enjoyable and far more expensive. We're going to the theater.
The theater.
Theater, from the ancient Greek, theatron, the most dramatic of the Transformers.
Theatron!
It means a place for viewing. Here's a Roman theater. They were quite simple back then. You have the stage, the auditorium, and the vomitorium.
The vomitorium is very important, chat. It's a very important place where you go to vomit.
Now, for a very long time, people thought that the vomitorium was a place where the Romans would gorge themselves, where they would eat so much that they would throw up and then gorge themselves again because they were so decadent and or bulimic. But it comes from the word vomere, which means to spew forth. because that's where people go in and out.
Yeah, it was the entryway, but I love the word the vomitorium. It's just like such a great word.
So vomitorium is just a dramatic way of saying the entrance. Now, if you skip forward to the 1800s, things are getting a lot
Look at this beautiful theater.
more modernized, but they still didn't have electric. So they had what's called the limelight. And that's why they say, to be in the limelight, to be the star of the show. What they would do was take a piece of quicklime and heat it up super, super hot, which will naturally glow very bright.
Interesting. I didn't know that it was actually a piece of lime. When heated to 2,400 C, the chlorine reacts with the slated lime to form sodium hypochloride and calcium chloride and emits a bright white light.
They would then take reflective mirrors and lenses to focus the beam, and they would use that as an early form of the spotlight.
That's so interesting.
The limelight is not because it's green, but because it's made from quicklime. In the modern day, things are a lot more advanced, and they can do all sorts of cool shit with like lasers going into your eyeballs and all sorts of stuff. But it's not just the tech that's had an upgrade, it's the architecture as well. In Elizabethan times, they had the yard, and you could get in here for about a penny apiece. And this is where all the poor people stood.
I love how the mosh pit back in the day used to be for the poor people, and nowadays the mosh pit is for the super duper wealthy people.
To watch the shows. It's like when you go to Oppenheimer and you end up with the worst seats in the IMAX theater, right? But
Nobody wants to be at that close up.
thankfully, in modern times, we have fixed that problem. We kicked out all the poor people and we sunk the floor down low and put in an orchestra pit. Now, these things are usually 6 to 12 feet deep, so they're not obstructing the audience's view. But having a giant hole at the end of a stage is quite dangerous.
Oh my god!
So usually they put a big net there as well. And yet, a lot of people still get pitted. Like a lot of people.
That's so funny.
In 2011, during a production of The Sound of Music, one of the lead actresses fell into the orchestra pit and was left paralyzed.
The accident occurred in November 2011. Monica remains paralyzed from the waist down to this day. They should have a little fence.
From the waist down. In 2009, a conductor, not a superconductor, just a regular one, fell 14 feet into the dark pit and broke
14 feet?
9 vertebrae.
The conductor made a full recovery and wrote 24 healing hymns during his recovery. He now plays these hymns for sick and elderly. Aww.
And 1 ankle. Mamma mia. And he fell on his pointy conducting thing.
Oh
And the
no.
a violinist died from his injuries.
Victor Sedwolf, 65-year-old man, fell into the pit in the 16th of July, 2013. He survived the fall initially, but died the following day in the hospital. He had been working at the theater for 4 decades.
After falling into the pit. This theater is prone to all sorts of accidents, by the way. It's kind of cursed.
Oh my
But performers
god.
and musicians aren't the only ones falling into the pit.
That's a big pit. A pit that if you fall into it, you die is basically a danger. It's a hazard.
In 1988, an 82-year-old man fell from his balcony box seating all the way down into the pit.
During intermission, the man was sitting on the balcony rail. Why would you sit on the balcony rail? When an usher requested he did not, he tripped over backwards and fell.
During a performance of Macbeth, he died. Very spooky. Even already dead people are getting pitted. In 2016, a man sprinkled his friend's ashes into the orchestra pit at
Why would you do that? Whoa, gross.
the Met Theatre. This happened during the intermission, and it was a sort of tribute to a mentor of his. But of course, people went, "What the hell are you doing?" And he goes, "Oh, I don't know." And he flees the scene. Everyone's coughing and sneezing up dead guy, and people think, is this anthrax? What is this? So they call in the
The incident occurred October 29th, 2016. The man responsible, Roger Kaiser, sorry. I saw the G and I put the G in front of the R. I don't know why I did that. Was seen by several musician sprinkling a white powder substance into the pit. The ashes were of his friends, Terry Turner, who died of cancer. He was not charged and he wrote an open letter of apology.
The anti-terrorism police, and the whole show is cancelled for the rest of the evening. A quick intermission.
Of course, ashes are carcinogenic. They're carcinogenic, all kinds of ashes, not even just human ashes, but like wood ashes. They're all dangerous. You shouldn't be inhaling ashes.
Or is it? Ooh, TD, I am the trap master.
Ooh, diddly dee.
Not like that. Do not ask me to reveal my secrets, woman. I have dedicated my life to the mysteries of the theater. Ah, the theater. She has so many enigmatic traps. Let us start with the most simple yet devious, the wall trap. It allows the actor to walk directly into the set piece. Ah, where did he go? Nobody knows. Cast your eyes over here to the genie trap.
The theater is really fascinating with how they come up with things. Every time I think of like holes and traps in theater, it reminds me of that video of Olivia Rodriguez. She was running across her stage and she falls into her hole, but quickly manages to grab herself before she falls in. And then like it comes back up and she's like, I'm fine. She like fell in it. I'm just like, oh no, these are dangerous connaptions.
Now the victim stands on this dumbwaiter and a counterweight launches their hapless body up onto the stage.
Oh my God, getting yeeted onto stage.
In the olden days, this circle of flap.
There's a real standardized problem with traps. When this cover is added to the whole apparatus, it's sometimes renamed a star trap. But the trap itself, the part that moves people on and off stage, is actually just a genie trap with a new covering. Although genie trap isn't quite accurate, either because it's more of a colloquialism, specifically to the Aladdin stage play, referring to the trap that Genie's character used. To better term would be spring lift, but in research we seldom found it used.
Traps would sometimes go on top, and then that would make the whole thing just one way. Now,
Smart.
back when they made this thing, they didn't have hydraulics. So instead, they'd have like 6 stagehands pulling as fast as they could.
Oh my
And
God.
sometimes it would go totally wonky, or it wouldn't open properly, or they'd only get about halfway through.
Ow!
Oh, well, I guess that's it. There's only 2. Wrong. This is the vampire trap.
The vampire trap is so cool, but also so dangerous.
And if I want to come back up again, this is called the sunroof trap. Very cool. Watch out for the closing doors on this one. It managed to trap Spider-Man's
No correcting me. No.
foot back into production in 2013. Me and the green guy.
Daniel Curry, an established dancer, and understudy Bradley broke his leg when pinned in a not quite closed trapdoor in 2013 during a live performance of Spider-Man on Broadway. Oh my God, that sounds so painful.
We collabed on this one. All right, there's one more. The ghost glide.
Oh.
What you do is stand on this slidey bit, and it ascends diagonally, which makes it look like he's coming out of the ground. But the ladies are there yawning, they're going, ooh, short ghost. But then... 5'1", 5'2".
He keeps growing.
Now 5'3", 5'4", 5'5". All the ladies are loving it. Now, I bet you're wondering, what happens to the actors when they go down these traps? Are they dead and gone forever?
They just kill them and then they bring somebody else to replace it.
Yes, sometimes. In 1888, Frederick Federici was playing the role of Mephistopheles in Faust at the Princess Theatre
That is a beautiful theater.
in Melbourne. As he descended the trap at the end of the play, goodbye, everybody, goodbye. He had a heart attack and died.
It was March 3rd, 1888, opening night. There was a doctor backstage who immediately attended to him, but he couldn't be revived. Federici was 37 years old. Oh my God, chat. You never know when you're going to get a heart attack.
Never seen again. So as you can imagine, with this many deaths, the theater has become a highly haunted place.
Yeah, that's creepy. So many people die in the theater. I feel like you have a really high chance of dying in the theater, or at least getting maimed and mauled.
Oh, yes. In fact, sometimes you can put your ear right up to the wall and you can hear 2 male ghosts wrestling. Can't fake that. Ah, another ghost hole. Don't look inside. I did once. Almost went blind. That's why I wear the mask. Anyway.
No!
Because of all the ghosts, the theaters do whatever they can to keep the spirits happy. See this? It's called a ghost light. When everything is closed, it is kept on all.
Also, so the alive people don't fall off the stage and hurt themselves. It's a superstition, but also a useful liability thing. Oh, nice.
Always kept on for the ghosts, so that they don't, bump their shins in the dark or whatever. At the Palace Theatre in London, there has been some.
Look at that color. I really like the color of the building. It's nice because it's not gray.
Ghostly activity.
It seems to be a hotspot for ghostly activities.
And that's why they always keep 2 empty seats at the back, so that the ghosts may sit there and watch the show.
Ghosts need seats too, you know. They want to enjoy the theater.
So that's why we traditionally kept a couple of seats off sale for the ghosts. However, Harry Potter is so popular that we sell those seats now.
They sold the ghost seats. The ghosts are just gonna be so angry.
Oh. Also, most theatres close for 1 day per week.
Happy birthday, Nexo.
On those days, the ghosts are left to perform for each other in their own shows, which they like, we think.
I was worried about my own vagina.
Oh, finally, the vagina
A
monologues.
culture of other vaginas.
You know, I wasn't always part of the elite. In fact, from a very young age, I grew up in an orphanage.
Dun 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 dun.
No, my parents weren't dead. Rent in that building was just really cheap. But my parents showed me no affection. And as
Dun 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 dun.
soon as they could, they sent me off to boarding school. But boards were always their passion, not mine. I tried to run away. But
He
they caught
tried.
me, and boy, did they throw the book at me. Alas, I did not dodge in time.
He lacked the dodging skills.
I spent the next few years in a coma. A Native American town, Pueblo, Acoma. And the people there taught me how to read American. They also had a local library, and I spent my days buried in books, learning as much as I could about the arts.
Ninja.
And once someone noticed me buried under those books, and they rescued me. I knew I wanted to teach default character presets like yourselves.
Wow, did you just call me an NPC? I ain't no NPC.
All about Shakespeare.
I did not like studying Shakespeare. I don't like the old-timey speaks. I already struggle with English as somebody with dyslexia, but struggling in old-timey speaks is just, I cannot understand them.
Editor's note. I started Googling Shakespeare and I got kind of distracted, so I don't know. Here's a WAV file. You can do something with this. Put him in like a classroom or something. All right, attention, everybody. I am your new teacher. You are a bunch of troubled inner city youths. All you know is shoot gun, fail test, and crime. But I'm here to teach you that actually books and reading and stuff are actually pretty epic after all.
You use the term epic. I don't know.
Now, the earliest known written language is what, Mr. Single Parent Household? I don't know, Teach, but you're never gonna get through to me. Oh, really? Well, what if I go back in time?
Dun 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 dun.
Back in time. In the long, long ago, very few could read. But to be fair, most of the written languages were kinda shit. This is cuneiform. the very first written language, and it has far too much punctuation. Then eventually came along the Egyptians, and they invented emojis, but they would call them hieroglyphs. Anyway, the typical written thing would go
It's so interesting that they wrote like that. Like, such complicated symbols too, you know?
like this. Message for you, sir. Big bird, man with stick, man sitting, circle. Oh, more bills. Eventually that became quite annoying, so the Phoenicians, who were a kind of Lebanese, very progressive especially for those days. Now they came up with a better idea. They started going, hey, that sounds a bit like an A. Buh. That sounds a bit like a B. Kuh. And so on and so on. Until we had a protoform
It was more complicated than that. Of course it was more complicated than that, but look at that.
of the alphabet. Now, the Greeks thought that was pretty neato, but they said, let's come up with an even better version with 22 letters, and soon that will be like English. Oral history. Greeks more like geeks. Got 'em. Oh, yeah? Well, let me tell you about something highly
A book, you say, what do I plug it into? Your mind.
relatable. Of the surviving Greek works, the greatest hits were the Iliad and the Odyssey. Now, because most people couldn't read, this stuff wasn't written down for a very long time, and instead it was memorized and performed. And when they performed it, they used one of these, a lyre.
I wonder if anybody still plays a lyre. Like, if you can actually learn how to play a lyre. It looks very cute.
Now, this was great for conveying tone, right? So here's a soft bit, doo-doo-doo, but then this is a big dramatic bit. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Now, the Iliad starts with this guy, Menelaus, king of Sparta, and he has a wife, Helen, and she is a very fine lady. And then the Prince of Troy shows up. His name is Paris, and he goes, damn, shorty, awooga, awooga.
Damn, shorty, awooga, awooga.
Hey, that's what he'd say, right? And he and his boys abduct her and took her all the way back to his crib in Troy. Now this makes Menelaus quite miffed.
Hey, hold on there, Buster.
Hold on there, Buster.
He declares a turf war, but he can't win it alone, so he calls on his homies, Odysseus, king of Ithaca, and Achilles, the best drive-by shooter of all time.
I love how we went from theater. Somehow we're now learning about Greek mythology and the history. How did we end up in a history class? Weren't we just talking about music?
But Achilles is not.
Achilles won a beautiful maiden as a war prize, but Amazonium, king of Mycenae, took the maiden for himself. Achilles felt so dishonored by the whole thing, he refused to help in the Trojan War. Other versions, including him being prevented from bad touch a particular woman of low mobility. It gets complicated. The past is weird times. Oh, wait, wrong button.
Not in the mood to fight. So the whole of the Iliad is basically spent trying to convince this guy to get involved.
Please?
No.
It's like, please help us. Please help us. Please, please, please.
Please?
No.
Eventually, they win the turf war by being very sneaky. They make a giant horse, which is the symbol of Troy, and they leave it at the front gate. That's their way of saying, oh, I guess you win. We're walking away now.
I guess you win, I guess, if you want to. If you have to. If you have to win.
And meanwhile, thousands of soldiers go off and hide in some bushes. Now, the Trojans are very suspicious, but they can see that the Greek ships are actually sailing away into the horizon. So they know, oh, it must be real, must be real.
Some versions have the ships simply full of soldiers and them sailing back at night rather than hiding somewhere on land waiting for nightfall.
We've won the many years war.
Yay! I don't know how we went from theater to the Roman Empire, but you know, like, how often do you guys think of the Roman Empire?
But actually, there's almost no one on those ships, and there's a surprise inside the horse. Later that night, when everyone's asleep,
Pew!
boiling hot tzatziki everywhere. And also some soldiers wearing thermal.
There was no hot tzatziki. It was a lie, chat. It was some elite soldiers, SAS, of their time hiding in there. Some misunderstandings over oversimplifications of the stories have the idea that the entire small army was hauled up in the horse. No, it's just some elite, super elite, exclusive soldiers.
Protection, they get out and they open the gates, and then everyone comes out of the bushes, running into the city and kill everybody. After they win the war, Odysseus heads back home to Ithaca. However, on his way, he starts making beef with Poseidon,
of course he
god
does.
of the sea. And Poseidon,
Odysseus was supposed to be given his thanks to the gods of sort of, it's complicated. And then he blinded Poseidon's son, Polyphemus, the Cyclops.
is mad at the disrespect. So he sends Odysseus on a long-ass detour. And that detour is the story of the Odyssey.
Oh.
Pretty epic, right, kids?
That's my response too. So epic, right?
Whoa, Teach, that's fire. I'm starting to come around. That Odysseus guy is literally me. Yeah, I'm gonna try that horse trick on my ops. Homer, from Homer's Odyssey, is not a character in the story. He's the guy who tells the story, and
Makes
then people
sense.
wrote it down. Now, moving chronologically to the next big one, you've got the Bible. And for all practical purposes, this was basically an oral tradition too. Most people were illiterate.
Yeah, that's what's interesting is the amount of oral traditions, and then eventually people learned how to write, and then eventually they wrote down the stories. Literally, right in the 1400s, were around 10% for men and 1.5% for women. But it's more complicated, but the definition of literate often denotes the ability to read and write Latin and or Greek sometimes. To really learn literary, one would go to the grammar school. But in the contemporary sense, literary, where you can sound out most things and roughly get by, that's what they call legere. Up to half of the population may have had this skill set according to some sources. But you think about it, it makes sense. Otherwise, why have signs like "Ye Old Tavern" if only a few people know what it says? A parchment and paper. That's very interesting. That's really interesting. Like, you know how if you wrote down words phonetically, like let's say you don't know how to write, right? And you're just listening to speaking and you're using like phoneticness, what it sounds like, and you're writing letters based off what it sounds like. Because then people could understand and write like that, but they were not actually like proficient in the language.
By this point, and the Bible was written in Latin, and pretty much only the clergy knew Latin. So they would be the one to recite it to people.
It says that the cute lady at the front should go on a date with me, please. Listen, the rules are the rules. I didn't say it, the book did.
There was a translated version into English, the Wycliffe's Bible, and you better believe that thing was a threat to the order. So they made that illegal to own.
Whoa.
What? And if you were found with an unlicensed copy, the punishment would be death.
Oh my God, so dramatic.
So it remained. The Bible was read to the people. Now, by the 1300s came Chaucer, who wrote the Canterbury Tales, and that was a pretty big deal.
Get this book now.
Because it's one of the first significant works written in Middle English. It describes a bunch of people making a pilgrimage from Southwark to Canterbury, which is here to here, which was the longest journey anyone had ever made in the 1300s. And now, it's a whole series of stories, and most of them can be boiled down to, how come if everyone is on a pilgrimage, you're all so focused on material stuff? Oh,
What?
hypocrites much? Dong. It's now the 1600s, and they've updated all the textbooks from Middle English to regular. In 1601, King James I said, all right.
Their outfits, I can't believe it's so funny.
You know what? Let's everyone have a copy of the Bible they can read. Let's do a King James Bible. I won't feature in it, but I'd love to be in the title. And he
just wanted credit.
commissioned a committee of scholars to rewrite the thing in English, God's language.
Now I can't speak Spanish or anything.
It took 8 years. And that brings us to Shakespeare.
How did this all connect to Shakespeare? Because he wrote the Old English?
And he's a huge deal. Oh, look, we're out of time. But sir, we're supposed to do penis inspection day today. No, there's no time. Roll the end card. The end.
What?
Alright, that's the lesson. You watched the whole video.
I did watch the whole video.
Or at least, you had it on in the background while you scrolled your phone. And I couldn't be prouder of you. There's just one more quick thing I want to tell you about.
Oh?
Theater props. For example, this gun.
Oh. It's a fake gun, right?
Now, the thing... Oh, look who it is. I know what you're thinking, but it's just an actor. We all know that the real Lincoln is dead. You know, when he fell asleep on the tracks of the Underground Railroad.
That's not what happened.
Anyway, this thing is super realistic. Although the trigger is a little loose.
Oh no.
Ruh-roh.
Of course it was the internet historian. It was the internet historian all along.
Oh, I can't believe you did that. But I won't tell anyone.
Don't blame me. I'm gonna point fingers at you so quickly. I'm gonna point as soon as somebody's like, yeah, but nobody has to pull any teeth on me. I'm gonna confess.
And, you know, in fact, good news. I'm gonna make you my little protege. And I will be your protojo. And I got so many more lessons to teach. Still here, huh? Yes, just a little cleaning. More good news. Next video is almost done. It'll be on incognito mode, and it's about the art. And the next main channel video is also nearly done. That'll be out shortly after. If you're looking
That's the wine one we watched already.
for more content in the meanwhile, we have another channel called Story Mode. The Metal Gear Solid and Forspoken videos are especially good. Don't forget NordVPN.
Yeah, chat, don't forget to get your scam VPN.
Thank you for watching. More soon.
Bam bam. Ba-da-da-da-da. Ba-ba. You know what? The first 50% of the video, great. And when they started going into history, I kind of zoned out. It's like me in history class back in high school. I zone out a little. History doesn't interest me.